The afternoon sun blazed over Karachi's university campus, its golden light bouncing off the rusted gates and cracked pavements. Students hurried past, clutching notes and coffee cups, their laughter blending with the chaos of rickshaws outside. Amid them walked Ayan, a 24-year-old scholarship student, his shirt slightly faded, his shoes worn to the sole, but his eyes, sharp and hungry with dreams. He wasn't like the others who joked about summer internships or beach trips. Ayan's world was smaller, heavier, made of overdue rent, unpaid bills, and a sick mother waiting in a dark, damp room miles away. He had just left his part-time shift at a cafe, his mind cluttered with numbers, tuition fees, medicine costs, the landlord's threats. Life, it seemed, was a test with no answer sheet. Then that day, the day everything changed, he saw her. She stood at the crosswalk, dressed in a cream-colored suit and wide-brimmed hat, her posture graceful but frail. Mrs. Zara Mirza, 71, the city's quiet legend, the widow of a shipping magnate, known for her philanthropy and mysterious reclusiveness. No one ever saw her without her chauffeur. But today she stood alone, clutching her cane, her eyes squinting against the glare as traffic blared around her. A truck came speeding from the bend, brakes screaming. The crowd gasped. She froze. Ayan didn't think. He ran. His bag flew off his shoulder, papers scattering in the wind. He lunged forward, wrapping his arms around her just as the truck roared past. They tumbled to the curb, her hat rolling into the street. Silence fell. When Zara opened her eyes, the boy's face was inches from hers, breathless, trembling, alive. "Are you hurt, ma'am?" he stammered. Her wrinkled lips parted into a small smile. "You saved me." By the next morning, photos of the rescue flooded social media. Young student saves billionaire widow. But Ayan didn't care. He didn't even own a smartphone. He had no idea the story was spreading like wildfire. When the university dean called him into the office, he thought it was about his unpaid fees. Instead, the dean's tone carried disbelief. "Mrs. Mirza wants to see you." In person, Zara Mirza's mansion sat on the cliffs above Clifton Beach, marble gates, fountains, and silence so vast it echoed. Ayan stood outside, clutching his cheap backpack, his heart thudding. When the maid led him inside, he noticed every inch of the place whispered of lost time. Portraits of youth, dusty chandeliers, faded perfume lingering in the air. She was waiting by the window, draped in silk, her silver hair tied neatly, her eyes calm and sharp. "You risked your life for mine," she said softly. "Why?" he shrugged awkwardly. "Because no one else did." For a moment she studied him, his honesty, his poverty, his pride. Then she said something that made him blink in disbelief. "I have a proposal for you, Ayan." He frowned. "A proposal?" "Yes." Her voice was steady, unreadable. "Marry me!" The words hit him like thunder. He thought she was joking, until her gaze didn't waver. "Why would you want that?" he whispered. She smiled faintly. "Because sometimes kindness deserves a reward. And because I'm running out of time." Ayan's world spun. The poor student and the 71-year-old millionaire, an idea so absurd it sounded like a cruel prank. Yet her tone was grave, her eyes glistening with something far deeper than whimsy. And before he could find the courage to answer, she added, "Think carefully. 1 week, if you say yes, your life will never be the same." Ayan stood there frozen, as the sound of waves crashed below the cliffs, and somewhere inside, a quiet voice whispered that this was the beginning of something that would either save him or destroy him. Ayan didn't sleep that night. He lay awake on his thin mattress, staring at the cracked ceiling of his rented room while the city outside groaned with the noise of life. Cars, dogs, the hum of distant trains. Zara Mirza's words kept replaying in his head. "Marry me." It sounded insane, like a riddle he couldn't solve. At dawn, his phone buzzed with another overdue rent message. His mother coughed softly in the next room, that same dry, painful sound that tore through him like glass. The medicine was finished. The doctor's bill was waiting. And still, he was just one broke student trying to keep the world from collapsing. By noon, Ayan sat on the steps of the university courtyard, staring into space as his friend Danish plopped beside him. "You look like you saw a ghost," Danish laughed, biting into a samosa. Ayan hesitated. "A rich woman asked me to marry her," Danish choked. "What? Bro, stop kidding." "I'm serious." Danish's eyes widened, half amusement, half disbelief. What are you even saying? How old is she? Ayan exhaled slowly. 71. There was silence, then a burst of laughter. You've officially lost it. You're gonna marry a grandma? For what, a visa? The joke hurt more than it should have. Ayan forced a smile, but his mind was spinning faster than his friend's teasing words. He left soon after, wandering through the market where the scent of spices mixed with the sea breeze. Every corner of the city reminded him of his debts, his mother, the weight of struggle. And then he remembered Zara's calm eyes, the way she had said, running out of time. There was sadness there, something human, something lonely. By evening, he found himself standing again before her mansion gates. The guards exchanged a surprised look as he said quietly, "Tell her. I've made my decision." Inside, the grand hall was dimly lit, golden light spilling across polished floors. Zara sat by the fireplace reading. When she looked up and saw him, a knowing smile touched her lips. "So soon?" she asked. "I've thought about it," he said carefully. "I know what people will say. I know it sounds crazy, but if what you said yesterday was real, I'll do it." Her expression softened, but her eyes searched his. "Are you doing this for me or for yourself?" He hesitated, his throat tight. "Both, maybe. I've never had the luxury to choose. My life has always been about survival. And you need someone. Maybe I do too." She stared at him for a long time, then slowly rose. "Very well," she said. "We'll marry quietly. No press, no announcement, just a simple ceremony here. You'll stay for 7 days. After that, we'll see where life takes us." Ayan nodded. He didn't know if this was a deal, a dream, or a trap, only that his fate was being rewritten before his eyes. The next morning, they stood before a modest registrar. Zara wore an ivory shawl, and Ayan, in his only decent shirt, tried to steady his shaking hands. There were no guests, no music, only the faint sound of waves outside, and the old man reading vows neither of them truly understood. When it was done, she slipped a gold ring on his finger. "You're my husband now," she said quietly, almost as if testing the word on her tongue. He looked at her, her wrinkled hands, her calm grace. Her eyes filled with stories, and said the only thing that felt right. "Then I'll take care of you." Zara smiled. "You already have." That night he stayed in a guest room overlooking the ocean. The mansion felt too large, too quiet. He couldn't tell if he'd just saved himself, or signed his own life away. Outside, the moonlight shimmered across the sea like a promise, or a warning, and somewhere down the long marble hallway, Zara Mirza made a phone call in a trembling voice, whispering, "It's done." He agreed. Now everything can finally begin. The morning after the quiet wedding, Ayan woke to the soft crash of waves and the scent of jasmine. For the first time in years, he slept in a bed larger than his entire room back home. The sheets were silk, the ceiling carved with gold patterns. Yet he felt restless, out of place, like an intruder in a dream he hadn't earned. He stepped out onto the balcony overlooking the Arabian Sea. The horizon shimmered under sunlight, but inside the mansion shadows lingered, deep, deliberate. From the corner of his eye, he noticed servants pausing to glance at him, whispering behind half-closed doors. Some bowed awkwardly. Others avoided eye contact entirely. At breakfast, Zara sat poised as always, sipping tea from fine porcelain. Her every gesture was elegant, practiced, but beneath that grace Ayan sensed exhaustion. The faint tremor in her hand, the slight hesitation before she smiled. "Did you sleep well?" she asked. "Yes," he replied. "Your home is beautiful." She looked out the window. "It's been quiet for too long. Maybe it's time it felt alive again." He nodded, unsure what she meant. As days passed, Ayan tried to adjust to this new world. The silent halls, the watchful staff, the luxury that felt like a cage. He helped her with small things, reading her mail, fetching books, walking with her by the garden path. Despite their age difference, their conversations flowed easily. She asked about his studies, his mother, his dreams. He learned she had once been a painter, before illness and loss stole the color from her life. "Do you ever regret it?" he asked one afternoon. "Regret what?" "Having everything, but being alone?" Zara's eyes softened. "Having everything doesn't mean having someone." "I learned that too late." Her voice cracked slightly, and for the first time, Ayan saw not the powerful millionaire, but a woman buried under years of solitude. Something in him shifted that day, respect, maybe even tenderness. But as he explored the mansion, he began to notice strange details. A locked door at the end of the east corridor that servants refused to discuss. A portrait of a young man who looked eerily like him, hidden behind a velvet curtain. The staff would glance nervously whenever he lingered near it. One night, unable to sleep, he wandered downstairs. The mansion was silent except for the ticking of a grand clock. He followed a dim light into the study and froze. Zara was there, kneeling before an old chest, her face illuminated by candlelight. She was whispering something, her hand trembling over a photograph. Ayan stepped closer quietly. "Zara?" She flinched, blowing out the candle. "You shouldn't be here," she said sharply, almost panicked. "I heard something," he said softly. "Are you okay?" She took a deep breath, regaining her composure. "Just memories," she murmured. "Go back to bed." But before she turned away, he caught a glimpse of the photo. It showed a young man, smiling, wearing a student's uniform. The face was hauntingly familiar. His face. The next day, the servants were colder, distant. The maid who used to serve him tea wouldn't meet his gaze. The butler watched him with veiled hostility. When Ayan asked Zara about the locked door, she simply said, "Some places are better left undisturbed." Every word she spoke now carried a weight, a warning wrapped in kindness. That night, as rain lashed against the windows, Ayan lay awake, staring at the ceiling. Questions clawed at his mind. Why had she chosen him? Why did that photograph look like him? What was behind that door? And then, from the hallway, came the sound of slow, deliberate footsteps, dragging slightly, stopping outside his door. He held his breath, his heart pounding. The footsteps paused, then moved away. He waited a full minute before getting up, opening the door just a crack. The corridor was empty, except for a single folded note on the floor. He picked it up and read, the handwriting shaky but deliberate. "Don't trust anyone. Not even me." The note trembled in Ayan's hand long after he read it. Don't trust anyone. Not even me. He sat on the edge of his bed, staring at those words until dawn crept through the curtains. What was she warning him about? What secret could a 71-year-old woman possibly be hiding in this house of silence? At breakfast, Zara was her usual calm self, dressed in pastel silk, her face composed. If she'd written that note, she hid it flawlessly. "You look pale," she said, pouring him tea. "Didn't sleep." "Just thinking," Ayan replied cautiously. "About us." Her eyes flickered with something unreadable. "That's good. Thinking is healthy, but sometimes not knowing is safer." The cryptic tone sent a chill through him. He forced a small smile. "You really believe that?" She looked away. "I've lived long enough to know that truth can destroy more than lies ever could." Later that day, as she rested, Ayan roamed the mansion, his curiosity burning stronger than fear. He found the butler polishing silver in the dining hall, the same man who always avoided eye contact. "Tell me," Ayan asked, "how long have you worked here?" 32 years, sir." "Then you must have known Mr. Mirza." The butler froze, his hand tightening on the silverware. "Yes," he said carefully. "He was a good man." "Was?" The butler looked up. "He died 20 years ago. In this house." Something dark flickered in his eyes before he quickly excused himself. That night, while Zara played soft piano music in the drawing room, Ayan stood by the staircase listening. Her fingers moved gracefully, but the melody was heavy, full of sorrow. When she finished, he clapped gently. "That song," he said. "It's beautiful." "What's it called?" She smiled faintly. "It doesn't have a name. It's for someone I lost." Ayan stepped closer. "Your husband?" Her smile faltered. "No, someone much younger." He didn't press, but the unease inside him grew roots. Later, he returned to his room and studied the photograph he had stolen earlier from her study, the young man who looked like him. The resemblance wasn't slight. It was uncanny. Same eyes, same jawline, same faint scar near the chin. It was like looking into a mirror from another time. He flipped the photo over. On the back was a faint inscription. "To my dearest Zara, love always, Adil." That name echoed in his head all night. Adil. Who was he? Why did he look exactly like Ayan? The next morning, Ayan found Zara painting in the veranda. It was the first time he'd seen her with a brush, and the canvas caught him off guard. She was painting a young man by the sea, the same face again. His face. Who is that? He asked softly. She paused, her brush hovering midair. Someone I shouldn't have lost. A deal? He whispered. Her hand trembled. The brush slipped, streaking red across the canvas like blood. She turned slowly, her eyes glistening with tears. How do you know that name? I found the photo, Ayan said. You need to tell me the truth, Zara. Who was he? Why do I look like him? Her voice broke as she spoke. Adil was my son. The words hit him like a wave. Her son. He died when he was your age, she whispered, her eyes distant. Car accident. He was brilliant, stubborn, full of fire. And when I saw you that day, saving me, I saw him again. His face, his courage, everything I lost. Tears streamed down her cheeks, and for the first time, Ayan understood the loneliness that haunted her. You asked me to marry you because... I reminded you of him, she nodded slowly. Maybe. Or maybe I just wanted a second chance, to feel that love again before I go. Ayan felt a storm rise inside him. Pity, confusion, anger. That's not fair to me, he said quietly. You gave me hope when all I wanted was honesty. Zara's voice trembled. And I gave you a home when the world gave you nothing. Isn't that enough? He turned away, hurt cutting through him sharper than any poverty he'd known. You should have told me. As he walked away, she whispered behind him, almost pleading, Ayan! There's still more you don't know. Things that could destroy you. He stopped, his heart racing. What things? But before she could answer, the butler appeared at the doorway. Madam, he said urgently, the lawyer has arrived. It's time. Zara straightened, her expression shifting back to steel. Not now, she murmured, brushing past Ayan. He stood there, watching her disappear down the hall, and couldn't shake the feeling that this marriage had nothing to do with love or loneliness, but with something far darker. That afternoon, the mansion filled with unfamiliar faces, lawyers in crisp suits, assistants carrying files, and an air of quiet tension that seemed to thicken the very walls. Ayan watched from the top of the staircase as Zara sat in the grand hall, her cane beside her. Her expression poised but weary. He could tell something important was happening, something meant to be hidden from him. But when she caught him watching, she motioned for him to come down. You should be here, she said softly. The lead lawyer, a stern man with silver hair, adjusted his glasses. Mrs. Mirza, are you sure you want to proceed with this now? She nodded. I don't have much time. Let it be done. The lawyer cleared his throat and began reading from a thick file. This document serves as an amendment to your last will and testament. As of today, you name your legal husband, Mr. Ayan Khalid, as the sole inheritor of your entire estate and business holdings. Ayan froze. What? The lawyer continued matter-of-factly, effective immediately. Upon the event of your passing, all assets, including the Mirza Shipping Company, residential properties, and bank accounts, will transfer to your husband. Zara looked at Ayan, her eyes heavy with unspoken meaning. You once said you wanted to take care of me, she whispered. Now I'm taking care of you. Ayan felt the ground shift beneath him. Zara, I didn't marry you for money. I know, she interrupted gently. That's why you deserve it. The room buzzed with whispers from the lawyers and servants alike. The butler's jaw tightened, his eyes sharp with fury. He stepped forward. Madam, with respect, are you certain about this decision? Mr. Ayan is a stranger. Zara cut him off with quiet authority. Enough, Rahim. Loyalty doesn't always come from years of service. The butler's face darkened, but he bowed stiffly and withdrew. Ayan tried to speak again, but Zara lifted a trembling hand. Please, just trust me. You'll understand soon. That night, after everyone had left, Ayan found her in the study again, staring at the fire. The document lay open on the desk, her signature still wet. You just made me the richest man in this city, he said quietly. Why? She smiled faintly, her voice a whisper. Because wealth means nothing if it dies with me. You saved my life once, now I'm saving yours, he frowned. From what? Her eyes glistened. From yourself. From the world that would have crushed you. Before he could ask more, she began coughing violently, a deep, dry cough that left her gasping. He rushed to her side. Zara! You need a doctor! She waved him off. No, it's too late for that. Don't say that, he begged, holding her trembling hand. She looked at him, a tear slipping down her cheek. Promise me one thing, Ayan, no matter what happens. Don't let them take what's yours. Them? He asked, panic rising. Who? But before she could answer, she collapsed against him. He shouted for help and servants came running, chaos erupting. Within minutes, the doctor arrived. The same family physician who had treated her for years. He examined her quietly, then shook his head. I'm sorry, he said softly. Her heart... Ayan's world shattered. He knelt beside her, her frail hand limp in his, the echo of her last words burning in his mind. Don't let them take what's yours. Hours later, the mansion fell silent again. Zara Mirza, the woman who had turned his life upside down, was gone. But grief barely had time to breathe before the storm began. The next morning, police arrived. Lawyers returned, and Ayan, still dazed from shock, was handed an envelope sealed with the Mirza family crest. Inside was a handwritten letter in Zara's shaky script. If you're reading this, my dear Ayan, it means the truth is now yours to carry. You think I gave you wealth, but what I truly gave you is protection. They'll come for you now, just like they came for him. Be careful whom you trust. The past isn't dead, it's waiting. Ayan's hands trembled as he finished reading. Came for who? He whispered. The butler appeared at the door, his face expressionless. Sir, he said quietly, the police would like to speak with you. They say Mrs. Mirza's death may not have been natural. The air left his lungs. He looked at the man, searching for truth, but saw only cold calculation in his eyes. And as he followed the officers down the hall, every whisper, every glance from the servants felt loaded with something poisonous. Something told him Zara's death was only the beginning. The police questions felt like knives, polite but cutting, their eyes scanning every flicker of Ayan's expression. How long were you married to Mrs. Mirza? 7 days. Did she ever mention her health issues? Only once. She said it was her heart. And who was with her when she died? Me, and then the doctor, and the staff. Their pens scratched against notepads as though recording the fall of a man they'd already judged. When the interrogation ended, one officer handed him a folded document. Until the autopsy is complete, her assets are frozen. You can't leave the city. Ayan nodded numbly, the room spinning around him. Frozen assets. Accusations. The very fortune she'd given him now painted him as a suspect. When he returned to the mansion, the servants' stares were sharper than ever. He caught whispers echoing behind marble walls. He poisoned her. She made him rich. And now she's dead. Every word stung like acid. He locked himself in his room, the letter from Zara still trembling in his hands. They'll come for you now, just like they came for him. The line haunted him. Who was him? Her husband? Or her son, Adil? He turned the envelope over again and noticed something odd. A faint raised texture under the flap. Carefully, he tore it open wider. A small silver key slid out, no bigger than a coin. Ayan's pulse quickened. He knew immediately what it might unlock. The east corridor door, the one that had been sealed since the day he arrived. Night fell heavy and silent. With trembling hands, he crept down the corridor, his footsteps echoing off the marble. The key slid into the lock perfectly. The door opened with a soft click. Inside was a room untouched by time, the faint scent of old cologne, stacks of books, and a covered easel in the corner. When he pulled the sheet away, dust swirled into the air, revealing a half-finished painting. Zara smiling beside a young man, Adil. But what froze Ayan's breath was the painting's date. Scrawled in red paint, Adil, 2005. He frowned. Zara had said Adil died 20 years ago, but that date was off by almost a decade. He turned toward a desk cluttered with yellowed papers, and beneath them found a folder labeled Adil, case file. Inside were police reports, medical photos, and a death certificate, all stamped unsolved. Adil Mirza hadn't died in an accident. He'd been murdered. Ayan's hands trembled as he flipped through the reports. Poisoning. Same symptoms Zara had suffered. Same doctor's name on both certificates. Dr. Hamid, he whispered, the same man who'd declared her death natural. Footsteps creaked behind him. Ayan spun around. The butler, Rahim, stood in the doorway, eyes glinting coldly. You shouldn't be here, sir. Tell me the truth, Ayan demanded. You knew she didn't die naturally, didn't you? Rahim's expression didn't change. Truth? He said quietly. The truth is that she ruined all of us. When her husband died, She cut the entire family out of the inheritance, gave everything to that ungrateful son of hers. And when he began asking questions about his father's death, she silenced him too. Ayan's blood ran cold. She killed her own son? Rahim smiled faintly. No, we did. On her orders. Ayan's chest tightened. You're lying. Rahim stepped closer, his voice calm, rehearsed. You think she married you out of love or guilt? She was dying, and she needed a puppet. Someone poor, desperate, clean. Someone to pass the fortune to before the truth surfaced. You were her insurance boy. Ayan's heart pounded so hard it hurt. That's not true. She warned me. She said people like you would. Rahim cut him off. She used everyone. Her husband, her son, even you. And now the law will use you too. When they find her will and see what she left you, they'll think you killed her. Everything fits perfectly. Before Ayan could move, Rahim pulled something from his coat, a small vial of dark liquid. This, he said softly, was supposed to go into her tea a week ago. But you came along and ruined the plan, so we waited. Ayan's blood froze. You poisoned her. Rahim smiled. We all did our part, even the doctor. Without thinking, Ayan lunged forward. They struggled, the vial shattering between them. The liquid splashed across Rahim's sleeve as he shoved Ayan back into the desk. You're already finished, the butler hissed. When they find you here with this mess... But he didn't finish the sentence. Rahim suddenly gasped, clutching his arm, the same arm soaked in the spilled poison. Within seconds, his body convulsed, collapsing onto the marble floor. Ayan stumbled back, staring in horror. His chest heaved. His shaking hands were now covered in the butler's blood and broken glass. At that moment, he realized no one would believe him. Not the police. Not anyone. He looked at the lifeless man on the floor, then at the letter in his pocket. Be careful whom you trust. Now he understood. Zara hadn't been warning him about the world. She'd been warning him about her own house. Rain slammed against the mansion's windows, thunder shaking the chandeliers as Ayan stood over Rahim's lifeless body. His pulse raced so violently it drowned out thought. The poison's acrid scent still hung in the air, mingling with the salt of his sweat. Every nerve screamed at him to run. But something deeper whispered, finish this. He grabbed Rahim's phone from the floor, his fingers trembling. The last dialed number was labeled simply H. He hit redial. The line crackled before a calm, familiar voice answered. Rahim? Is it done? Ayan's voice shook. It's Ayan. Silence. Then a slow exhale. So, she finally told you. It was Dr. Hamid. What did you do to her? Ayan demanded. She was never supposed to suffer, the doctor said softly, almost regretful. But when she changed her will, when she gave everything to you, she forced our hand. She ruined years of careful planning. You murdered her. Ayan spat. No, the doctor corrected coldly. We corrected her mistake. Ayan's grip tightened. I'm going to the police. The doctor laughed quietly. You think they'll believe a broke student who married a 71-year-old millionaire and inherited her empire after 7 days? You're the perfect villain in their story. The call ended with a click that echoed like a gunshot in Ayan's mind. He looked at the phone again, a sick realization sinking in. Every move, every kindness, every conversation, all of it had been part of someone's design. But Zara hadn't been the manipulator they painted her as. She had been the shield. She knew what they were planning. That's why she married him, to put her wealth and her name in safe hands. Ayan stumbled back to her study, searching desperately for proof. Drawers, safes, hidden compartments, until finally, behind a portrait, he found a small metal box. Inside lay an old USB drive and a sealed letter. The letter was addressed to him. Her handwriting was fragile, each line soaked in the weight of truth. My dearest Ayan, if you are reading this, the storm has reached you. I once believed love could save, but power only destroys. My husband was killed for his fortune. My son for his conscience. I've lived in guilt for decades, knowing I once looked away instead of fighting. But you reminded me what courage looked like. This drive holds everything. Recordings, transactions, confessions. The doctor, Rahim, and those who bled my family dry. Use it, expose them. And when you do, forgive me for the deception. I only wanted to give you a life free from the hunger I saw in your eyes. You gave me peace, Ayan. Don't let them take that from you. Tears blurred the ink as he whispered, Zara. He plugged the USB into her old computer. The files burst open. Bank statements, emails, and hidden audio recordings of Rahim and Dr. Hamid discussing the poisoning of both Adil and Zara herself. The proof was undeniable. Outside, sirens wailed in the distance. Someone had called the police. Maybe a servant. Maybe the doctor. Ayan copied everything onto his phone and ran. Down the staircase, through the hall, into the storm. The guards shouted behind him, but the rain drowned their voices. He reached the main gate just as headlights flared, 2 black cars blocking his path. Men stepped out, their coats glistening with rain. One of them raised a gun. Before they could fire, a police jeep roared up behind him. Officers spilled out shouting commands. Chaos erupted. Gunshots, shouts, flashing lights. Ayan ducked behind a pillar, clutching the USB to his chest like a lifeline. When it was over, 2 men were in handcuffs, the doctor among them. One officer recognized Ayan and helped him to his feet. "We got your message," the man said. "The files you sent, they're real?" Ayan nodded weakly. "All of it." She kept everything. By dawn, the mansion stood silent again, crime tape fluttering in the wind. The truth had burned through its halls like fire, leaving only ashes of greed and guilt behind. Days later, as the sun rose over the city, Ayan visited Zara's grave, a simple stone by the sea, engraved with her name and the words, "She lived twice." He knelt there, the breeze brushing his face, the sea whispering softly below. "You didn't just save me," he murmured. "You made me believe again." He had nothing left of her except a ring, a letter, and a story that no one would ever forget. The story of a poor student and a dying millionaire who had found redemption not through wealth, but through courage as he walked away from the grave. The first light of morning broke across the water. For the first time in years, Ayan smiled, because some love stories aren't about romance. They're about saving what's left of the human heart. End of part 7. Moral. Sometimes the people who enter your life for the strangest reasons are the ones who save your soul. Courage doesn't always roar. Sometimes it whispers in the face of fear and chooses to do what's right.